Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
would wipe away my tears, so sincere, turn gray skies to blue. You won't ever change your ways, doing what you do. Well, you can keep on talking, talking. No, I say don't mean nothing, nothing. The same old thing again.
wanted to run, we wanted to fall together. Back then our world seemed so clear. We grew so bright, shimmering lights around us. We take flight into the sky. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will see. You will see. You will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will see. Take my hand, I'll lead you on into the stars. We'll ride away from all the wars, close the doors and disappear again. And I don't know how many times I've said that this is not the end, and we will make it out of here alive. Oh, alive. Alive. Oh, alive. Alive. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will see. You will see. You will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will see. How many worlds would you cross to use the light that's right in front of you? There is no light on the other side. I say, look straight ahead and you will see. You will see.
Welcome back, one and all. We are here for Spa Week at ARC Indycar Series. Once again, you'll have Keegan, myself, and Will bringing you all the action today. Will, it's great to have you back in the box today, especially with all the technical issues we've been having over the last couple weeks.
Thank you, Keegan. It's great to be back with you as well. And I'm bummed I missed last week at Iowa, even though you guys had some difficulties. But we haven't had this nice dynamic duo here in about a month now. So I'm excited to get back into it.
Oh, this is going to be fun. So typical weather conditions for Spa, except there's no rain, obviously, because iRacing doesn't have rain in it yet. But we're at 21 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, a little bit of a breeze going through. And we're expecting a little bit of an interesting race here. This is going to be a 30-lapper around Spa today. And this is close, definitely closer than we usually get to what IndyCar would actually run here if they did.
Yeah, so like you said, 30-lap race. We have been told that the expected fuel stint length is around 12 laps. So that makes this a lovely two-stop race, which will be interesting for driver strategy. See what decisions these guys make out on track. And remember, they have to run each tire compound at least once. So there's the black primary tires, a little bit harder, lasts a little longer, but you're not going to be as quick. And I'll remind you again about the alternate red tire compound, softer, come in quicker, you'll be faster, but they have a lot of tire degradation. So with that said, being a two-stop race, there's going to be some interesting strategy thrown at these guys. And I think we're going to see a lot of different strategies across the board.
Yeah, I definitely think that if we see probably a healthy amount of the field fall back in the early going, we might see the leaders start to come back in and get off the alternates at that point. Because, I mean, we said it's about a 12-lap fuel window, so that leaves about 6 laps for you to just kind of figure out what you're doing with that. And that's a really good time to use those alternates for whenever you choose to do the 6 laps.
So you think whoever is starting up front, your assumption is that they'll start on the alternate tires then?
Almost certainly, because I'm not entirely sure, but we might be starting on the same tires that we qualify on. We'll have to get clarification for that. But I think whoever starts up front is going to choose to go on the alternates. It's either they'll choose to go on the alternates first or they'll choose to go on the alternates last.
And do you think anybody could pull off some sort of strategy to where they are running the alternates in 2 of their 3 stints? Because that was something I was kind of thinking about last night, preparing for this race, thinking what are possible, I guess, strategy combinations and decisions you could make to be able to be on those faster tires for 2 of the stints?
That almost pushes you to a 3-stop window, which of course is not ideal. Because those alternate tires, they do degrade pretty quickly, and doing so at a place like Spa, 12 laps is going to be a really hard bet to try and get, out of those alternate tires with having a lot of performance on them at least. So I would expect we're going to see primaries for the majority of it, and they'll try and go with the alternates for just the 6-lap stint. However, if a driver can figure out a way to make those alternates last for a full 12 laps and have them still perform, that's gonna be a fast ride.
Exactly what I was thinking. So congratulations for the 100% on new Will's Weekly IndyCar Engineer Quiz, because that's exactly what was going through my brain when I was trying to wrap my head around that. I think that's a good call. But I do think we will see the larger portion of this race on the black primary tires for sure.
And we just watched, by the way, Matthew Rice kind of hook it a little bit coming out of that ending chicane. That kind of leads me to my next point, Will, in that the setups that we use for ARC here, they are fixed and they're the same for every road track across the season. And these setups, they are not optimized for a very, very fast course. So we might see a little bit of push-to-pass strategy as well as giraffe trains come into play here.
Definitely, and I think that's something we can look back on a couple weeks ago when we were at Road America. Also another high-speed, fast corner track, maybe not so much like Spa, but it's still up there. It's a longer track with a lot of high-speed corners, and I think you could see a lot of times where that universal setup kind of went wrong. So it makes it very difficult for these drivers to kind of keep the car stable, stay on top of the car while being able to like maintain a quick lap pace and stay clean around other drivers. So the extra track space, given that it's a longer track, hopefully benefits us here. But I think they will do better in the tighter corners, the hairpins, throughout Lacombe, everything. I'm just kind of interested to see how those cars work out and settle through turn 10 over at Pau on the double left. That's kind of my biggest area of concern here.
It's going to be tricky, especially when they're on the primary compounds going through there, which of course we're expecting to be the majority of the race. But folks, you are on a full lap stint here with David Mccourt, currently the provisional pole, and one of the favorites to win this race. He has won at Spa with ARC in the past, and even though we've only raced here two times, excuse me.
Yeah, the other winner being MLG God, who we always say is our oval alien, but he has proven himself to be pretty quick on road courses throughout the first part of this season. And as you see, he's provisional P3 right now, starting on the second row. So it looks like it could be a good start for MLG God. I'm sorry in advance, man. I know you'll hate me later, but please don't take out someone in the first corner. I have confidence in you, and I'd like to see you go win this thing.
He's definitely one of the two favorites. Him and David are definitely the two who I would probably expect to win, or have the best chance to win out of anybody here. But you never know. The second one, the one that MLG God won, that saw a new winner. We might see Spa bring out another winner today. I mean, look at how Joseph Dupont seems to be running already. Only about 6/10 back, which across a huge track like Spa is not a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And I think across the entire board, we have a lot of guys with the potential to win. We've seen some of that potential through some of the other races. And I know I keep referring to Road America, but that is one that surely crosses my mind when I think of guys like Pop Dog, Comrade Question. These guys were quick. I believe Cricket Sushi as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these guys were all quick, ended up having back and forth battles with other cars, and they just unfortunately didn't work out in their favor and took them out of that podium position, I guess. So I would be expecting one of those guys to kind of be in the mix here, if not a couple of them, and I think that'd be pretty interesting. I'd like to see a new winner as well. Well,
we can hope someone else wins as well, and that is a new feature for this race here at ARC. We have an in-car reporter. We'll be going to a couple times today. John is our primary, but if he should accidentally go out of the race, we also have Kubalai and MLG God who are willing to step up and put in some commentary for us. So let's hope that one of our in-car reporters is able to come out and have a good race too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the primary reason for us wanting to do this is so we can give you guys watching on the stream a bit of a better idea of how these cars handle and take the course here at Spa. It's a crazy place, and if you don't have the opportunity to drive this track in this car on iRacing, that's definitely the best way to kind of see what these drivers are going through. It is not easy, I guarantee you that, but there are a lot of great slipstreaming opportunities. A bunch of passing zones if you're able to push the brakes a little late. So maybe if we're lucky on the onboard, we'll see some of that.
So we just had another driver jump up into the running here. Matthew Rice putting up a third place time. That's where you want to be. I would honestly rather be in third than second here at Spa because you get that advantage going into the inside of turn number one, assuming you don't crash out, of course, but you get that advantage on the inside line, and basically you're guaranteed to get that second spot coming out of it.
I agree and I disagree because that second guy can run wider through La Source, getting probably a better run up Eau Rouge down the Kemmel Straight. But you may very well be correct. If you're able to keep that guy wide and get on it early without snapping the car around, you definitely have a very good opportunity to just overtake a position right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think though, being at least in the first lap through La Source with cold tires, I don't think the outside person is going to be able to stick with them for too long. We'll see what happens, but especially, on lap one going through a Rouge, you don't want to be too wide.
No, I would agree with that as well. I don't think we're going to see much side-by-side through there on lap one, but the draft up there is going to be huge, and going down into turn 5 in Lacombe, that's going to be the biggest passing opportunity I foresee on the first lap of this race.
100%. And I can't wait to see it. I know someone's going to do it, but I guarantee we're going to see push to pass used going up Eau Rouge at some point. I want to see it. Who has the big stick?
That's probably your best opportunity on push to pass as well, given you don't really want to use it on the later parts of the track. There's just so many turns back and forth, a lot of consecutive corners that you'd end up snapping the car with that extra horsepower. But like you said, someone's definitely going to use it up Eau Rouge. I mean, I think everyone will at some point during the race. I know if I were racing, that would pretty much be the only spot I'd use it in, as long as I knew I had the opportunity to pass.
Well, qualifying's almost done here, about a minute and a half left. No one is going to be able to put in a time if they're just starting, so we're actually watching Matthew Rice. He's not going to have the opportunity to put in another lap. So his time will be as it stands. MLG God might have the opportunity to put... Oh, no, he won't. He's actually behind Matthew Rice. Excuse me. We've got a few others out on the track. Sir Harry, I believe, is coming up to try and put in a faster time. We also have on that side of things the number 77 of... I'm not sure. Numbers haven't been fully assigned. Yeah, we don't actually have him on the timing board either, so... our production's telling us he's Kiko, but we can't actually see him. So anyway... So, Will, if you were running this track today, which I know that you had wanted to, but unfortunately we couldn't get our substitute commentator in here in time, what would be your strategy in terms of tires, fuel, etc.?
That's a great question. That was something that I was kind of thinking about whenever I had a moment to, yesterday and today, like I said. Probably, well, it depends on where you qualify, right? If I would have qualified in the front 2 rows, which I'm not saying I definitely would have because I don't know. But for this instance, if I would have qualified in the front 2 rows, probably start on the red alternates, just so you can kind of pull away from the field a little bit, try and keep people out of your toe. That way you don't have anyone trying to do anything dangerous, maybe step on the brake a little late up the inside. Kind of keep pace. I would try and run those as long as you can. I know 12 laps on the red tires sounds crazy. But I think if you're easy on the tires and conserve them, you're still going to be quicker than you are on primaries. You're going to pull away, and I think you can make the red tires last a full stint, and maybe rocky towards the end. But that's probably what I would have done. Then I probably would have gone to the blacks, maybe gone on a little fuel save if I had a tow. Try and stretch that window out a little longer, and then try and go back on the reds, honestly, just to have a quicker last stint. So that's why I was asking earlier. I mean, in a perfect world, my strategy would have been try and push it as much as I can to have the reds for 2 stints. I'm generally pretty good at tire conservation and watching out for tire day in iRacing, or at least on the IR18. So that would have probably been in my arsenal. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure. I was going to go for something more risky. If I had the opportunity to run one race this season, I want to try and win it, right? So some sort of miracle strategy is what I'd be looking towards.
High risk, high reward. Those who dare win. Let's see if Kublai can pick up a good lap here. Maybe he can get a few spots. Okay, he's not actually showing up on the timing board, but that doesn't look bad for his time. And while you were talking as well, MLG God put up a big lap, earning that P2 over Joseph Dupont by 1 millisecond. Huge lap for him. Big pickup. He's going to start outside row 1.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's a tight gap there in the front of the field. So I think these guys are going to be able to keep pace with each other pretty well. And I'm hoping for some good, close, and clean racing for quite a few laps here.
Now, here's something else, too, that most people aren't going to consider about Spa. Spa was not designed for a rolling start. It was designed to have everybody starting from the grid, and that is not something we're going to see. We're going to see a rolling start, and that ending chicane is going to cause some chicanery with the start.
Definitely. That last, I guess, combination of two corners is probably the trickiest combination here, at least for me, trying to find that right braking zone. But the problem is, if you push it too far into turn 18 of that chicane, you don't end up getting a good exit out of 19 down the front stretch. So it's kind of give and take there. But here we look at our starting field, if you want to run us through that, Keegan.
Sure, we got David Mccourt, a former winner here at Spa, starting on the pole with a big lap, 156.6. MLG God coming up just behind, another former winner, about 0.6 off that pace in second, getting a 1/1000th of a second lead over Joseph Dupont, who is another front runner this season, starting in P3. Matthew Rice in P4, rounding out the first two rows. Then we have Cricket Sushi, Onid D-Stack, Frankenfoot Jaw, Pop Dog, Comrade Question, Joe Fierro, and Sir Harry rounding out the top 12. We do have an 18-car field tonight, too. We have Hero, Hallucinogen, Kubale, Kiko, DF, and Possum starting the rest of the field, rounding us out to 18. Looks like the last four didn't put in a lap either. Kubale, we did see him complete a lap, and Kiko will complete a lap, but it was probably an off-track at some point.
Which is very easy to do here. But luckily, it's not like Road America where every single little off-track bit of each corner is full of grass and will spin you out instantly. This is obviously an FIA track, so there's a lot of runoff. These guys can make up some time lost by going off track. Of course, that lap time won't count towards a fast lap or anything. But luckily, it gives these guys a little bit of breathing room going on to this 30-lap race.
Yeah, it's a lot like COTA that we saw earlier on in the season. And honestly, Road America has a decent amount of runoff in some areas too. Probably the closest track in the United States outside of, COTA and Indianapolis that are that would be closest to getting an FIA Grade 1. In fact, your opinion, what would you think about an FIA Grade 1 Road America?
Oh man, that would be tricky. I think any of those tracks with the high-speed corners, like I always talk about, I guess I just love them so much. I think those would be awesome FIA Grade 1 tracks just because I think it gives a lot more passing opportunity, especially when DRS is active. So, I mean, that's why I love Spa. It's probably Spa and Monza, even though Monza is very hated by some people. But I would say those are my two favorite tracks in the Formula One calendar. I guess I just have a thing for high-speed corners and looking at guys try and go up the inside through those corners.
Well, we are getting ready for the start here. High-speed corner coming up very shortly, folks. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Pace car will be peeling off momentarily. Will David Mccourt be able to pull out another one? Will MLG God be able to pull out another one? David Mccourt is going to start us off as they go down the main straight. David Mccourt has the timing lead, and he does get to a jump. MLG God's right with him, though, as they go down into La Source here. Braking zone. David Mccourt will have the solid lead coming out of La Source, going on to Eau Rouge. MLG God goes wide. He's going to lose that P2 coming up the inside. He might lose another one, too, if he's not careful. Solid lead, though, for David Mccourt going up through Eau Rouge. MLG God keeps that P2, though. Joseph Dupont can't quite get past him. Onto the Kemmel Straight. This is where you said that you'd expect there to be problems coming up to Lacombe. Dupont looking for a pass.
First taker in the inside.
He's going to get that inside line, but he has to hold it through the second part of Lacombe. Down through turn 6, he will get the spot.
And that's exactly what I was expecting here from the beginning of the race. A couple guys to kind of make that look. They got the draft up Eau Rouge, down the Kemmel Straight, picked up a lot of speed, and it looks like we got a lot of guys strung together in that worm there, with Joseph Dupont being the gatekeeper with, of course, David Mccourt out front, already building that gap.
Yeah, David Mccourt is just off to the races at this point. He's leaving everyone in the dust. it's going to be on Joseph and MLG God and Matthew Rice as well, who's very competitive so far, to try and reel him in. They can't really fight with each other too much to do it. They're going to have to use that. They're going to have to use that draft train to their advantage.
And they're going to pick up quite the big draft here as well. I think we might see a taker into the final chicane like we had talked about, but it's going to take a deep braking zone here from someone like MLG God or Matthew Rice, and I don't know that he's kind of reel him in enough to try and pull that off.
No, it looked like he might have wanted to there, but he does stay on the outside. Unfortunately, had to check up a little bit. Looks like Joseph Dupont might have broke a little bit hard going into that final chicane, and Matthew Rice had to check up. Now, D-Stack is going for a pass. No, D-Stack spins into turn one. Is anyone going to collect him? No, another spin, though, as he tries to avoid it. A big pile up here in La Source.
And it looks like some of them squeak by and make it out alive. We got another guy backwards on track. I believe that is Sir Harry in the Bitcoin car.
He is still able to get back up and running, though. One good thing about iRacing is that you don't have to worry about your car stalling after a wreck.
Man, they are just tight to each other through that entire sector, but MLG God's going to try and make that position back up on Matthew Rice.
Unfortunate spin from him, too, going into La Source. But
I think he's going to have the pace to pull something off here this lap.
He might try it. Also, did you notice pretty much everybody is on primaries here?
And I don't think that's something that either of us expected. So I think the strategy is going to be a lot different than kind of what I had predicted it to be.
Well, I did think we were going to see either alternates at the beginning or alternates at the very end of the stint. So I'm kind of expecting this stint and the second stint to be on primaries for most people, and then alternates for the last little shootout to the finish. Jaws on alternates. He's got to make those work, though. Otherwise, he's going to be pretty far behind for the remainder.
Yeah, the main thing with that alternate compound is you don't really want to short yourself on stint length by using them if you're not going to be able to make up much ground on track. So if you're in a big worm of traffic, like they are right now, all avoiding each other through that final chicane, it almost feels like you're putting those red tires to waste because you're not getting the full effect of them. You're not getting much more speed than anyone else because you're just worried about keeping the car on track and keeping it clean.
Yeah, you basically just got to pick off people one after the other. This is a big lunge here. It looks like we did see MLG God pick it up on Matthew Rice, but Matthew Rice is not done with him. He's gaining ground. He is ahead of MLG God for now, but MLG God has the inside line going into Lacombe. But Matthew Rice, he's going to stick the outside and regains that third spot.
And this has been a pretty close battle for them, obviously, throughout these first 3 laps here. But we can't ignore the fact that every single lap, David Mccourt is doing David Mccourt things and just constantly expanding that interval back to Joseph Dupont. But he is on the alternate tires, I believe.
Yeah.
So that makes a little bit of sense. Throughout the race, then, we should see some of these other guys catch him unless he somehow works out his strategy to where he can run those alternates twice.
Maybe, but I do want to point out the fact here. Last lap, Joseph Dupont put in the fastest lap of the race so far. Now, that only had the opportunity to put in 2, but the fact that he was able to put a faster lap in than David on lap 2 on those alternates might lead to us favoring Joseph Dupont.
And that
almost
was
a second, too.
Yeah, exactly. Almost a second quicker. That's pretty remarkable.
David Mccourt had some serious qual pace, but it looks like Joseph Dupont might just have the edge in the race overall. He's going to lose a little bit of time, though, on this one.
And get your popcorn ready again, because I think we're going to see another Matthew Rice MLG God battle up here through Eau Rouge and down the Kimmel Straight into Lacombe.
MLG God, he did get that spot back. Let's focus on this battle for third for a little bit here until this is fully settled. Well, Matthew Rice used push to pass at the top of this.
Does not look like he is.
He's got enough draft help. He doesn't particularly need it. But MLG God, he's really picking up that defensive line. Does go back to the outside, though, to kind of get a better line, recognizing that Matt is not going to get up to him. Ooh, a little bit of a spin there for, or not a spin, but fishtail out for Matt, and he's going to lose a lot of ground to MLG God as a result of that. Probably going to settle that argument here off of that little fishtail there.
At least for this lap. I just think if you're good in that final chicane and you're able to pick up the toe throughout the first half of the circuit, I mean, that's just big enough to make that dive down into the comb. That's why I keep mentioning it, is because that's the biggest passing zone here. That toe is massive. You pick up a giant speed differential on the car in front.
Jaw looking to crack into the top 10 here. He has that alternate tire compound. Getting held up by Hero, though. Oh, no, he's going to take him out. Some front wing damage there from Jaw as well. Hero going to spin off into the side of Fagnus. And he's going to have to make up some ground now, but... Oh, no, Jaw. I thought he had some front wing damage.
I did, too, but I saw it snap back on, so maybe a bit of netcode there for Jaw. And he just got a little bit lucky and kept that left side of his front wing.
iRacing. Awesome stuff. So yeah, now we do see David Mccourt is kind of just peeling off with it here. Dupont, he gave him a good challenge at first, and that really hot lap for lap 2, that might give him the advantage for the remainder of the race, honestly. Because he got such a great time on that like David's not going to be able to pull away as much as he wanted to.
And MLG got, I believe he's trying to make his way around some lap traffic. I think that's Kiko or...
It might be D-Stack.
And whoever that was just spun it.
Yep. High-powered up on wheelers on iRacing, folks. Gotta love it. Kiko's the one right behind them at the moment.
And he is doing everything he can to make up some ground, although he is a lap down, I believe.
Yeah, he is a lap down. I believe he had a spin earlier. Everyone is kind of settled in at this point. I think Matt might go and kind of tuck in behind MLG God for a little bit here. Save some tires for the remainder of the stint. We are only 5 laps into this, of course. Man, Kiko really giving Matt a hard time. Oh, he has those ults, that's why.
He definitely is, and he's on push to pass as well, so he's really trying to get up there in the mix and make up as much ground as he can.
Will he go for the lunge?
I think he's going to. He's going to send it.
This isn't for position. No! That's going to be a penalty, probably. That was not for position. There was no need to try and make that lunge into the final chicane, and Matt's not going to be happy about that.
I mean, I wouldn't be either. He was running up there towards the front of the pack. He's been looking strong throughout these first 5 laps, fighting for P3 the majority of this race, and it's just a shame when someone who's not racing for position tries to make an outlandish move like that, and unfortunately just takes you back from the lead of the field like that.
That's unfortunate. Now Matt's going to have to battle back up. Lost 2 spots off of that spin. Now has to get past Cricket Sushi and Pop Dog once again. Meanwhile, Comrade Question looking for the pass on Joe Fierro. Looking for that P7. A lot of battles going up into Lacombe. You were calling that would be the main area.
Oh, for sure. It always is, and that really doesn't change no matter what car you're in. I've driven quite a few cars around this circuit on iRacing, and I think this is one of the few tracks that really suits any car type really well.
it really is a challenge of skill as well for any car type you want, because it's basically broken up into two halves, the high-speed half and the low-speed half. Which one do you make your setup for?
Right, and that makes it very difficult for setup making, but for these drivers, like we said earlier, but if you're new to the stream tonight, these cars in this series run the same road course setup throughout the entire season, so it's not necessarily geared towards these high-speed tracks, which makes it tough for some of these drivers to make moves on those higher speed sectors here, but that's why we've seen a lot of action happening in those heavy braking zones and tight corners.
Yeah, it also makes push to pass and, you know, the draft a very big deal. Joe Fierro, I think he got past Matthew Rice. Matthew Rice, he's actually going into the pit right now. He might have a little bit of damage to fix, in addition to probably picking up a tire change. Although,
McCourt pits as
really
well.
Early. McCourt pits as well. Was he on the alternates?
He was.
Okay, so that's why he's pitting. We were expecting about 6 laps for the alternates, and he put in 6 laps and pitted.
But he manages to come out in P6, so he's not in too bad of a spot. If he can make up that ground, it'll be looking at right around 15 seconds or so while everyone else is in the pits, which is very possible. So throughout this entire first pit sequence, as all the cars go in, fill up on fuel, get new tires, we could see McCourt still leading this race.
Maybe, but he is not the provisional leader here, I would say. He is off cycle from everybody else, so we can't say that he would cycle around. Joseph Dupont, if we can see him for a moment, I believe he's on the primaries.
He is. I believe
yes, he
so.
is.
Yep.
Yeah. So McCourt's actually off cycle. We'll have to see if that works out for him, because he's going to have to really book it to make that work, because DuPont's probably going to have those alternates for the final stint.
And like I said, while all those top 4 guys are in the pits making their first pit stops, if McCourt can make up that ground on those primary black tires, he could come out ahead of DuPont. And it looks like Pop Dog got a little bit of action as that rear wing is just dangling by the tether.
I'd like to see a replay of that if we can figure out what happened to him. He's going to putter his way back around the pits. He'll try and stay out of everybody's way. Through Blanchemont's going to be a bit problematic. We'll get that replay here in a moment for you folks, but this is one of those things that Spot does for you.
And he is just dropping back. And here we go. We have the replay.
Oh, no. That was Joe Fierro avoiding him. Never mind. So he already had that going into Fagnus, so he must have gotten that, what, probably Rivage? So, yeah. iRacing didn't detect that as an issue, so we unfortunately won't be able to see the replay. Although, DuPont, he now has a mirror full of MLG God. We might be seeing a battle for the lead here. Although he is kind of pulling away from MLG God at the moment.
And behind those 2 guys leading this race trying to battle, we've got quite the gap back to Cricket Sushi, who I mentioned earlier would be a heavy contestant in this race, but he is 11 seconds back from MLG God. So, I mean, I keep mentioning it, but that's a lot of what racing is that first pit sequence. It's kind of where you file out into the field after you go through, make all your changes. I think some of these guys are going to come out close together, especially if they pit on different laps. If I'm Cricket Sushi right now, though, I stay out as long as I can because I've got all that open track in front of me, and I'm just trying to put down some fast laps and make up as much track position as possible.
He's also got David McCourt right in his mirror, but we are going to go to our on-track reporter, Ja. How are you doing today? How's the race going so far?
I'm doing good. The race didn't start the way we wanted it to. We had a plan and didn't execute. Got stuck behind some traffic on lap 1, and then We wanted to go really aggressive on the reds early on. Didn't go the way we wanted it to, as we nearly lose it out of the bus stop. But no, we just kind of melted the tires after sitting behind a couple people for a couple of laps. And you see what I mean there? Is
Drift it! Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. It's all about luck. It's really like ice when you get these tires past their best stage.
Well, we were expecting about 6 laps off of these, but take us on a lap through Spa here. Explain to the viewers what they're seeing.
Through the Ardennes Forest we go. Up one of the most beautiful corners in the world, through Eau Rouge, now down to Camel Straight. Then you're gonna see some forest to the right and left. Brake right at the start of the curb. Go down to 3rd or 2nd gear, your preference. Feather the throttle through, especially since you got hot tires on now. Then down the hill, now into, I believe this is Rivage, down to 2nd or 1st gear, pick your poison. Let the car roll back to the throttle, barely clip the curb on the exit, come back, swing it in left. Again, now for No Name, swinging out wide again as you go down the hill again towards Puhan. And we're gonna just flick this baby. Kiss the curb on the left. Oh, it's a bit wide.
Yay for four-wheel detection.
Yeah. I don't know if I have much 4-wheel grip left, but we're pushing.
So my question here, with this being a track that has a large combination of both fast-paced corners and slow, tight corners, when you're on these old alternate tires, where do you feel like the car struggles the most? What corners?
So particularly, and this is something that I've really found as my time went on iRacing, is braking. The rear end just is not a part of the car at all, and it feels completely detached from it. When you're braking in a straight line, it just wants to steer to the left or right. But it's really fun, this track. Old tires, new tires, as pirouette again. It's fine. We're good. No, it's good fun. I mean, I really love the challenging nature of going up, down, left, and right. The sweeping corners, especially in the middle sector, is just a blast. Puhan and Eau Rouge are breathtaking to go through as well.
Well, thank you very much, Ja. We'll check back with you later on in the race.
I just want to say sorry to Mikey Hero. I had contact with him earlier. I don't know if you guys caught it. I rear-ended him. It was completely my fault. I said my apologies or whatever, and probably will take whatever penalty that they dish us out. But it's just part of racing. Lock up into one of the chicanes there. So completely my fault, but we push on anyways.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ja. We will check back with you later on in the race and see how your day is progressing. Thank you so much. Have a good race.
Thank you.
Well, Will, I think that kind of answers our question about can you make the alternate stick for a full stint? It doesn't look like that's too successful if it's that hard to keep it going into La Source. And pirouetting obviously makes you lose so much time. I don't think it's worth it.
You're definitely right. I think it saved me tonight not being able to race when I was going to try and go on that risky strategy. So saved myself a little bit of embarrassment there. But definitely challenging. Is David Mccourt trying to hold off? Who is that? I don't believe that's for position. Is that? Oh, that is.
That is for position. Yeah, he actually just took that position going into the final chicane. But Cricket Sushi's right on his gearbox. He's going to have a really good slipstream going through Eau Rouge and into the Camel Straight. Going to be a big lunge, potentially, going into Lacombe. We'll have to see. Is he going to use push to pass here? No, he's not.
I mean, he's got to be getting low on fuel, right? Or did he already pit?
I don't think he pitted.
So it looks like he's just trying to make it to the end of this lap and pick up as much of David Mccourt's draft as possible to keep chugging along on track pace. We'll probably see these guys up front, besides David Mccourt, of course, pit here soon within the next couple of laps.
Yeah, probably 2 if I had to guess. We're on lap 11. We said about a 12-lap fuel stint. So Cricket Sushi will be in, not this time around, but the next time probably. This is a good battle for P5, looks like. Joe Fierro leading Frankenfoot. Joe is on the alternates. Okay, I was wondering about that. I saw his red rims. I was like, okay, that might be the alternates or it might not be, and was kind of confused, honestly.
And there are a lot of tight battles going on tonight, which is kind of refreshing to see. It's hard to keep track of it all as well.
Tight, good battles.
Yes.
There we go. Going up into Blanchimont. It's going to be advantage Fierro. Frankenfoot real close to him.
He's going to try some sort of over-under here.
Yeah, he's going to try a lunge probably up into the final chicane. Does he have push to pass on? I can't tell. No, he's not going to try for the lunge. He's going to wait and try and line him up into La Source probably.
But he loses a little bit of time. He gets on the brakes there late into 18. But he is going to have that draft again up Eau Rouge like we keep mentioning. I think we're going to see a lunge here in Lacombe again. Surprise, surprise. But Joseph Dupont comes out of the pits right in front of them, and he's in the mix.
He's probably going to let him go if I get... No, he's not going to let him go. He's going to hop in right behind Fierro. That's going to add another dynamic to this three-way battle now for P4. No, P3 now. We had 2 people pit. Cricket Sushi also went into the pits. Matthew Rice has made a pit stop too.
And Frankenfoot looks like he's just hanging back, waiting for something to happen for the perfect opportunity to pass, but Fierro goes wide, and Joseph Dupont screams by him.
So, these... I believe Fierro still has to pit. I'm not entirely sure. He is still on those alternates. I don't think he's had a chance to go in and pit yet. Meanwhile, MLG got a provisional leader who has not had a stop yet. He's probably going to be coming in this time. And we'll find out momentarily. That'll cycle the lead back around to David Mccourt now that everybody has had a stop. But David McCourt's going to be in probably in about 6 laps or so himself.
And I don't believe... I missed it there, but I don't believe Frankenfoot has made his first stop either. And there goes MLG God into the pit lane.
Pretty much everybody who has not stopped is going to be in this time. They're probably about out of fuel.
And it looks like he's on a bit of fuel save there to try and make it into the pits. And they both are takers this lap.
Yep, this will be everybody's pit stop who has not stopped yet. And that will cycle around, like I said, McCourt into the lead. Joseph Dupont up into second at the moment. Cricket Sushi is going to collect the 3rd place spot. Probably if he can get around to it. There we go.
And like I said,
MLG.
McCourt with that heavy undercut had plenty of open track in front of him throughout this pit sequence, and now his lead has just grown large. So, like I said, that is huge. The undercut seems to be working out for David McCourt here, as he is on the primary black tires and will be able to stretch this stint a bit longer than his first, but he's still off strategy and will probably be pitting within the next 5 laps or so.
I expect him to come in at the end of lap 18, given what we saw from him already. Very, very good race so far from pretty much everybody. I mean, the only people who we currently see a lap down are the ones who have kind of spun or otherwise gotten into an incident. Everybody else is sticking with it pretty well.
Especially with that sort of what seemingly was going to be a large pileup in La Source there a few laps back, where we had several cars spin out and return back to action pretty quickly.
Kublai, I believe this is for position. He's going to look for P6 here over Hero. He is on the alternate tires. Has he stopped yet?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Oh, he stopped
he's
twice.
Made 2 stops.
Yeah, he's fully off cycle. He's on his alternate stint now.
So he's going to be looking at a 3-stop race most likely. I
Or he'll
don't
try
know
and
when his
extend
last
the-
stop was, if he can stretch these to run another set of reds, or if he's going to have to go to the blacks.
It's an interesting strategy he's running, to say the least. That is going to give him a lot of speed in the meantime, though. Okay, production's informing us that he had an incident on lap 3, which is why he's off cycle. And so he's on cycle. He just had to stop, unfortunately. This battle for P6 is heating up now as Joe Fierro's going to come in. Frankenfoot has an outside shot on it as well.
And expect these guys to bunch up big time here, especially if any of them are takers on push to pass.
I think Kublai has it on. No,
He does not.
he
It's
doesn't.
just that heavy through there.
No one's using push to pass through Kemmel. I was expecting it to be here.
And iRacing just doing iRacing things.
You're blinking.
Hero making his car as wide as humanly possible to hold off Kublai.
Widest
But
IndyCar you've ever
this is
seen,
going
folks.
to drop both of them back closer to Joe Fierro and Frankenfoot.
Let's take a look at the battle overall here. Hero defending like his life depends on it. But Joe Fierro has something to say about this. He is right on the gearbox of Kublai in front of him. Frankenfoot just back there waiting for something to happen. He knows that one of these guys is gonna make a mistake. It's just who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Hero, and he takes out Fierro with him. Frankenfoot's gonna be the benefactor of 2. Kublai's gonna get 1, but that is a double wreck for Hero and for Kublai.
I believe that was Fierro, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was Fierro. Oh no, Fierro was the No, Kublai was the benefactor. Someone wrecked, folks.
And it looks like Hero just loses it on exit and spins it, and Kublai somehow sneaks his way through, but Hero overcorrects and
Fierro.
Unfortunately hurts Fierro in the process.
Fierro is missing a wing almost certainly. He's going to have to pit this time around. No, he's not. What? He is straight up missing a wing, probably has wheel damage, and the dude is still trucking. What a trooper. All right, folks. Well, we have a bit of a lull in the action. We'd like to give a shout out to one of our sponsors for tonight, and that is Driver61. Go ahead and go to driver61.com and use the code ARC61, and you will get 25% off your order. Thank you very much to Driver61 for sponsoring us for this IndyCar season. Big shout out there.
And we are just currently watching as the cars start to settle in to their second stint. These will probably be coming to an end here in the next 6 laps or so, plus or minus a few.
I know we have Mccourt. McCourt's scheduled for a pit stop here in 2 laps. Yep.
And like I said, he did come out in front in that first sequence, and he has built up quite the commanding lead. I think he's in a really great position. Starting on reds may not have been a bad idea after all.
It'll be his last stop no matter what. Well, unless he wrecked somehow. But yeah, we were talking about it, and we were expecting if you didn't start on reds, you're probably going to end on him, but he chose to start on him, and that gave him a huge jump. This is the battle for P9. Comrade Question barely leading over our in-car reporter, Jaw. But Jaw's been gaining on him slowly over the course of the last lap or two. Let's take a look at Jaw's in-car camera here and see if we can see anything from him in terms of whether he's using push-to-pass. Comrade is using push-to-pass. He doesn't want to lose that P9.
Jaw giving it his best effort to make up every 10th of a second on Comrade Question. He brakes a little bit later than he had told us earlier when we were on board with him. I realized he was on worn-out tires. We'll try and get him back in here later on in the race. Let's do him a solid and try and do that after his second stop so he's not on worn-out rubber.
Yeah, for real. He was kind of struggling with that earlier, but you know, you can't really fault him for that. On completely worn-out alts, oh, that is rough. Ooh, big off-track for Jaw there. He's really pushing it. Is he on push-to-pass right now? I don't know. He might be, but he's gaining a lot of ground on Comrade at the moment. This might be a battle for 7th, honestly, in general, as Comrade is catching Joe Fierro. Jaw is catching Comrade. Fierro, I believe, still has wing damage.
And we look there on the board to your left, and it's since gone away, but the incident counts of this race, which has not necessarily all come from contact, but again, this being an FIA Grade 1 track, there are a lot of runoff zones and places to run wide, so that's where we see guys like Joseph Dupont and MLG God having quite a number of incidents there, just off-track incidents. It's pretty strict here. I am not quite the biggest fan of it myself, but that's kind of where those numbers are coming from, just to give you guys watching on stream a bit of an idea.
Yeah, even David McCourt's kind of abusing that where he can to get a little bit of extra time. Where he doesn't get a furled flag, of course. Let's see if either Comrade or Jaw are using the push-to-pass here. Would be a good idea for Jaw to pick it up for this one. Comrade is not. Is Jaw on push-to-pass? No, he's holding it off. He thinks he can get him without it. Which he's gaining time, so he probably can. Slow on the gas there, though.
But he's still gaining. He's trying to squeeze out as much as he can. He runs a little bit wide.
Comrade Question, he's doing everything he can to try and hold off Jaw. Jaw runs wide there, trying to get every advantage he can. Puhan's a good place where he can gain time, but not a good passing zone. Comrade's next good pass opportunity is going to be into the final chicane, and depending on what he does up through Blanchimont and up through the last straight, he might have an opportunity to do it. Might take a big lunge if he can't get close. Not a good exit.
And it looks like Question is pulling away a tiny bit.
Jaw did not have a good exit out of Paul Freire, and he's going to overshoot the final chicane. He's trying too hard to make that lunge on a Comrade. Comrade, unfortunately, is going to use that opportunity to get away by a little bit. Put about half a second as a result of that off track.
And David Mccourt stretching that lead to almost 20 seconds now, again, on those primary tires. He is continuing to pull away from everybody, but this is our projected lap for David McCourt's second stop, so we'll see if he takes it here, see where he shuffles through the field in that sequence.
20 seconds might be enough for him to keep that first place spot, and if he does, I think that's basically GG for the race.
I agree, because then the other guys still have their second stop to make, and he'll make up even more time. So I think David McCourt is in a great position to go ahead onto another win, and he does pull off into the pit entrance.
That's about what we were expecting. MLG God now has to push it. He's going to hear the leader pitting now. And he's going to push. Everyone else will be pitting in about 6 laps. MLG on those reds, but this is about the end of where it gets really, effective. I believe David Mccourt is still in the pits. Yeah, he's still stopped, waiting for that fuel.
I think MLG God's hope is that Mccourt gets held up by some sort of traffic, but it doesn't look like he will. That would kind of be the saving grace for MLG God and Joseph Dupont.
He is going to get held up by Dupont, though.
When they pit, though, Mccourt is going to pull quite the distance.
Oh, yeah. But Dupont's going to battle him here. That's going to slow Mccourt down.
Which realistically is not helping Dupont very much. It's mainly helping MLG God.
Yeah. It'll still help Dupont in the sense that he still has to pit. But however much he can keep Mccourt back to try and get to him on those alts, that's going to be a big win for him.
It is in terms of him beating Mccourt out when Dupont takes his second stop, but it just still further and further builds the gap back from MLG God, which inherently is just allowing him to make up more time on David Mccourt by the time MLG pits.
And MLG is also still on those alternates, which by this point are basically worn. And we heard from Jaw that they're basically ice when you get to this point in the run. And as we see, David Mccourt is gaining.
Yeah, and he's just doing his best to make the car as wide as possible, use as much of the track, so Joseph Dupont does not really have a look anywhere.
He might have a look into the final chicane, though. He's only 0.3 off, and he's gaining in through Blanchimont. He's going to be real close to about a quarter second, 0.2 of a second. He might make the lunge. Is he going to look for it? No, he's going to leave it go.
I've got to say, these guys out on track are fun to watch. Whether they're racing each other or other people, they have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. They race clean. They're very considerate, on top of being quick, which we all already know. But something like that, and I like to mention it every stream I'm on, is that this league racing stuff is great, right? You're racing the same guys every week. You've got little fun rivalries, friendly rivalries. You got some close battles that you know these guys, right? So you know they're not going to try and plow it into you. League racing is just awesome. This is my first season of ever doing any sort of league. So I guess that's a great segue into our second sponsor. Our second sponsor is Grid Finder, which is the internet's only league search tool that now has over 1,000 leagues. So go ahead and head on over to gridfinder.com to find the league you've always wanted. Maybe you'll find yourself in some good, intense battles like the one we're watching here, but we'll hone back in on these guys battling for second place on track.
I used Grid Finder the other day to find a nice league for me. I like the touring cars. Joseph Dupont, he's now falling back a little bit from David Mccourt, but David Mccourt rapidly catching MLG God. This might be a three-way battle for the lead, depending on whether Dupont can stick with Mccourt and what MLG God can do about it. Oh, this is going to be a really chaotic final chicane. Through the final straight, MLG God has to get a good run. He is able to stick with it on those alts. Right behind him is David Mccourt. Let's take a look at David McCourt's onboard, see if he's going to use that push to pass, if he wants to try and get that. No, he's going to stick off of it. MLG God going to take that defensive line, but he's going to have a real bad exit out of 19. No, he's going to peel off into the pits. That's probably about what he wanted to do anyway. David McCourt's going to take the lead as a result. Dupont's on pit lane too.
And this is go time for David Mccourt right here. He does not have a draft, of course. He is the lead car once again. If I'm David Mccourt, I'm on push to pass. I am hammering that button to build up the biggest gap possible, knowing that this is MLG God and Joseph Dupont's last stops of this race. So if he can pull a large gap here, he's going to run away with this one.
This is a big short pit, too, for MLG God and Joseph Dupont, but they are going to lose a spot out to Cricket Sushi, who still has yet to pull in for his second pit. MLG God and Joseph Dupont, they have a huge task on their hands now. Catch Mccourt, and they're both going to be on reds.
I just don't know that they're going to be able to pull off that 20 seconds here in 9 laps.
They can't battle each other. If they utilize that push to pass and the slipstream correctly, they can catch him. But it's going to be a task. They're going to have to gain about 2 seconds per lap.
And they are not going to have it easy with Cricket Sushi in P2 in front of them, who has not made his second stop yet, I don't believe. If he doesn't take it this lap, these guys are going to have a really tough time trying to close that gap down to David Mccourt in front.
Well, Sushi can do it at the end of lap 24. His fuel will take him that long.
I believe you are correct. So these guys are going to have some trouble on their hands once they catch him. He is not going to want to let them by, because in doing so, he would lose his spot on the podium.
Oh, look at that exit that Dupont just got. Held up a little bit by MLG God, though. Dupont is on the alternates. MLG God's on the primaries. I'd call that MLG God playing a safe race at this point.
I mean, I agree. I think he's got P2 in the bag as long as they keep it clean and he manages to stay in front of Dupont, because when Sushi pits, he's going to drop back behind them. But, oh, he locks up a little bit and does not get the best exit down the home stretch.
I'm going to be honest here. Dupont has no reason to pass him.
Absolutely
Literally
none.
zero.
He's just going to get held up again.
He's just going to get held up again, and also the fact that he needs to save those tires as much as possible. He's going to have to do 9 laps on those reds. We saw they were dying after 6, let alone 9. He's going to have to try and catch Mccourt and then try and pass him on worn reds. Now, McCourt's going to have worn tires at that point too, but it doesn't change the fact that he's going to have to try and pass him on them. Dupont can't be held up, though, by MLG God. He's going to have to go by him, and he's going to have a good run on Sushi, too.
And my mic was muted, so I apologize for that. But this is where Dupont is going to try and make up as much ground as possible. Just hoping David Mccourt somehow has guys come out in front of him in this pit sequence to slow him down. But again, that is quite the task to try and close that down. That's mainly what I'm looking at here. David Mccourt with another dominant performance. I think starting on reds ended up being the true strategy.
I think it did, especially how David Mccourt just got out like that. And then a couple holdups farther back in the field. He had all that clean air from the very beginning of the race. That might end up being the strategy call of the race right there, was to start on the alternates.
And that's just what David Mccourt does best. Is honestly, I think his greatest strength is the start of each race. He manages to pull such a large gap on that first lap, and starting on the quicker tires, I mean, it's just, there's almost no match for him.
I know we don't have access to see how much time and push to pass these drivers have left, but I would love to see if David Mccourt has been smashing that as hard as we think he has.
And I think MLG just tapped Dupont a little bit, but to answer your question on push to pass, I believe they have 10 uses per race. I believe that lasts about 10 seconds as well. So it's not like normal IndyCar where you have a second allotment of push to pass. It's just those 10 uses, which I find pretty interesting. I would like them to implement some sort of more realistic IndyCar system into iRacing, because I think that adds a lot more strategy into push-to-pass efficiency and when you're making passes.
And obviously that is something that iRacing would be well invested to want to do, considering the fact that they try to be as realistic as possible to these race series. I would love to see them try that. We do see Joseph Dupont. Look at this. He has gained about a half a second in the last lap over David Mccourt, but that's not enough. He has to be gaining well over 2 seconds a lap at this point. This is McCourt's race to lose now.
And I believe we've got Sushi back there trying to pick up some ground on Rice again.
Do we have an off track? We had a wreck there, I believe. Frankenfoot.
Oh, wow.
He binned it in Rivage. I'm not sure what happened. We'll have to see if we can go back and see the replay. Yeah, here it is. Frankenfoot. Just took it too wide. Yep. Unfortunate there from Frankenfoot. He was having a pretty good race.
Yeah, he found his way up towards the front of the field. I believe he was running P5 or P6 when that happened. I don't think he had yet made his second stop, but he was still looking pretty strong. Someone else ran wide there as well, and I believe that is Hallucinogen. Yes.
Yes. He is the first man 1 lap down, I believe. Not like it matters. We don't really have a lucky dog system in this league. But always nice to know.
Let me get a ride on board here with Cricket Sushi.
He's another driver who's having a really good race. He's challenging Matthew Rice for that 4th spot as well.
He is, and I'm not sure if Matthew has taken his second pit stop either. I know he got caught up in a little bit of action earlier, but he has found his way back into this, and he has made both stops. So he has made quite the comeback in this race with only 6 laps to go here.
Whoever hasn't stopped for their second one yet, we are going to see them stop here. And I believe the only one of note that hasn't stopped yet for their last one is Jaw, and he's probably going to stop on this lap. Pick up the reds for the very end instant. After Jaw stops, folks, we will be picking him up for the in-car reporter. You almost lost it there.
And we will do our best to try and keep it quick, get a few more bits of insight from Jaw, but we want to make sure you guys are able to catch the end of this race and all these close battles with us as we see some guys charging to try and fight for a podium position, though it may be tough with a 27-second gap behind that 3rd spot.
Cricket Sushi, like I said, really, really great race from him. MLG God still in P3. Now only about a 1.5 seconds behind Joseph Dupont. He might have something to say about it, but... Whoa! Frankenfoot! Hello!
And I'm not sure if that was to let MLG by or nope. I don't know what that was, but Frankenfoot into the... Oh, no, it looks like he did pull off just to let them by. So,
no!
There it is. There is the spin, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a bump there. He has a little bit of time. He just needs to make sure he doesn't hook it back into that wall on recovery, but he'll get off and going just fine again. There's the cars behind him. A bit of a 4-man train there coming out of Lacombe. And this is a 4-man train for position, even though they are a lap down. Possum in that P10 position, followed by Sir Harry, Frankenfoot, and Kiko. Cricket Sushi as well. He is in that train. Ahead of him, I believe that's Matthew Rice. So this is actually a battle for position here too, P4.
These guys have both had impressive races like we were just talking about on the last lap. The fact that Matthew Rice was able to make it back this far up in the field after that incident earlier on is impressive in and of itself, but also Sushi pushing it to try and squeeze everything out of these last few laps and gain that position. He's had a pretty impressive season so far with some unfortunate events happening, but he has always been quick. See if he can pull something off here in these final laps.
He's definitely going to have the better car over the course of this run. Sushi hit it a little bit ago for those alternates. Actually, Matthew Rice is just going to let him by. Matthew might have broke a little bit late and then just let him through.
But he's on push to pass, so he is not giving up the fight yet. He's going to try and make this position back as we go up Eau Rouge. And when they make it onto the Kemmel Straight, they should be side by side.
Yep.
And they are. But he gets squeezed onto the grass, does a little bit of landscaping as they go side by side still. A car width in between. Matthew Rice pulls off in front, and he's going to take this corner, hopefully safely. And he retains that position.
Great job from Matthew Rice. Had to let Sushi go by in La Source, but doesn't matter. That push to pass will save your... Well, I can't say that on stream.
That's great. I love that. Well, I guess we could say push to pass will save you from the grass because he was going so fast that grass meant nothing to him. He was able to pull that off. Pretty impressive from Matthew Rice.
The push to pass will save your grass. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
JK,
keep this
it's a lawnmower.
G-rated here.
Kubala is another driver who's had a decent race as well. Now, he is a lap off of the leaders, but he's had a couple unfortunate incidents, which sucks, but he's recovered from them well, and he's been making the best of this race. Meanwhile, before we get into the last couple parts of this race, let's just see if we can get just maybe one or two words from Jaw, get a quick review of how the race has been from him.
And Kubala can't really complain with where he's at. He somehow avoided that incident and shot the gap between Hero's spin out and his collection of, I believe it was Joe Fierro. But Joe Fierro has also made his way all the way back up there, which is very impressive for that incident.
Yeah, great race from him. But another great race from our in-car reporter, Ja. How has your race been going into the last part here?
You know what? The second half has actually grown on me a little bit. I've cut out some of the mistakes that were in the first half. I've been a lot more consistent. I've hit my marks. And I'm in a position now to try and chase down Joe here for a top 6 finish.
Well, I mean, you have those alternate tires on, so we'll see if you can do it. How much more push to pass you got?
Let me reach forward here as I use another one. I believe 5.
All right. About
5
halfway
after
through.
this one. Yeah, I save a lot for these last few laps strategically, so let's just hope I have enough tires to catch Joe here.
Well, as long as you've got the fuel, it's one of those things, it's use it or lose it, so make sure to mash that button and try and make up as much ground as you can. I know you are, but you are closing that gap and should be able to catch him here soon. Hopefully we see a nice last lap battle from you two.
I love this track. I mean, it's times like these where you just, nothing to lose, just full beans, just having the time of your life. You know, the track is so fun to drive, and I mean, you know, we could just do that, flick it into Puan, and it sticks. It's really fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we'll let you get back to it. We're going to get back to some of the action, but it is about that time where you will be coming up on La Source here shortly, and we don't need another deja vu moment. We're going to let you go full beans here. So good luck, and hope to see you put up a good fight here.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, up at the front, battle for second underway. Joseph Dupont and MLG God. David Mccourt pretty much has this one on lock. But these two have been battling it out for the last 6 laps, and now it's coming to a head. There's MLG God hunting Joseph Dupont. Joseph Dupont has those reds, but they're starting to come to the end of their life. MLG God might have the advantage here.
And Dupont somehow keeping that gap steady, but that is because they are, of course, in the slower sectors of the track again. But once we come around La Source for the penultimate time, we might be able to see a move that could be made.
Well,
He's closing that gap down.
We've got 2 laps left. After they come to the line this time, we have 2.
Excuse me, my bad. And Joseph Dupont spins it.
Defending too hard, trying to push it a little bit too much on those fading reds, and he will pay the price. Gonna have to get off track too, so no one else collects him on the way through. Slides it coming out of, slides it once, then slides it again out of Paul Frere. So unfortunate for Dupont. He was having a great race, but he'll at least get to collect probably that podium.
Yeah, those reds are just icy.
They are just, yeah. He just has to keep it on track now and don't gun it too hard. You're not going to be able to hunt down MLG at this point, my man. Just save the race. Save the podium.
Oh, no, I was right. It is the penultimate time.
Well, we're on lap 29 now. We have 1 more to go after this.
Correct.
It's the penultimate time.
You're making me feel goofy, man. Let's focus on some good racing here.
I think we're talking about the same thing. Just, yeah, okay, never mind.
Just, I'm right, you're not. So let's just move on and watch Joseph Dupont slide this thing around. We just went full beans.
Everyone in this race has been going full beans. These guys have been putting on a great show for us here.
And Ja is still closing that gap, but I'm not sure if the push to pass is saving his grass too much here.
Well, he might have a little bit left. I mean, he's going to have something left for Joe here, almost certainly. And you can tell he's using that P2P down the Kemmel Straight. Joe might have to defend him before the end of lap 30. Ja, by the way, is on lap 29. David Mccourt, who's actually not too far from lapping him, is on lap 30.
That gap staying pretty steady. It would be...
Oh, wait. Did Joe just have an off track or something? Because that just dropped by like half a second.
He must have gone wide there or checked up. But David Mccourt has half a lap to go before he adds another trophy to his collection.
Joe is massively off the pace. Fuel saving, maybe? Maybe he took a little bit too early. I thought he went for the pit at a normal time, but he is dropping like a rock. Ja might be able to catch him. Oh, he is fuel saving. Joe's last pit was lap 16. He's fuel saving like a madman here. Ja might be able to pass him, or Joe might have to pit for fuel. No, he's not going to. He has 1 lap. He has to save it. So this is where the ending battle is going to be, folks, for P5. Will Ja be able to catch Joe when Joe is having to fuel save like a madman?
We see David Mccourt rounding out these final corners here on the ultimate lap, the final lap of the race, looking to add that last trophy, or that new trophy. Like I said, he takes the final corners there through the chicane, and he's going to run away with this one by almost a gap of 30 seconds. Right under 28 seconds. Congrats to David Mccourt. Dominant race, but we got to get back to that action in the battle for P5 between Ja and Joe Fierro.
Joe on those primaries, I think. He is having to fuel save like crazy. He has managed to pick it back up, though. I don't know if he has enough fuel for the end, but he knows that he's losing so much time on Joe that he really can't afford to fuel save at this point, or he's going to lose that P5. The problem is, if he doesn't fuel save and he runs out, it's gonna be probably P8 for him.
But Josh should be able to make some sort of a run here as they come out of Pouan. He's going to have to be heavy on that push to pass if he's got any bit of it left. There through Blanchimont. Make some sort of dive through that final chicane. That's really the only opportunity he's got left here to look for that 5th spot.
Joe now, 1.7 seconds is the gap. Joe has got to be on that push to pass.
He's got to get on
right
it now.
He's got to get on it. He's on it. He's going to look for the lunge into the final chicane. Look for it, everybody.
He's
second
too
and
far
a half.
back.
He's too far back to make it work, unless Joe runs out of gas right now, which could happen. Brakes at the normal point. He's waiting for Joe to run out of gas, but Joe will not. Joe will pick up that 5th spot to round out the top 5. Joe forced to deal with 6th, and that's the race, everybody. Comrade Question will probably be in 7th. Kublai rounding out the top 8 and the last man on the lead lap. But big win from David Mccourt on the day, taking P1. The other 2 spots on the podium rounding out are MLG God and Joseph Dupont. Kirkasushi in P4. And, there's one driver who I really genuinely feel sorry for out of everybody here, and that is almost certainly Matthew Rice. He got caught up in an incident, and he had such a potential for a fantastic race, and unfortunate that he just couldn't complete it. Joe Fierro, too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, luckily Joe was able to recover some of that, but unfortunate for Matthew that early on in the race, a lapped car tried to send it up the inside on him in that final chicane. So just unfortunate for him, especially when he, coming into this race, was sitting P4 in championship standings. So that one is going to bite. But David Mccourt extends his lead in the championship even further with tonight's win. And MLG God and Joseph Dupont follow closely behind. The top 3 of this race are also the top 3 in our championship point standings. Surprise, surprise. But it makes it interesting headed into the back half of the season.
Yeah, we have a bit of a break here in the next couple weeks, but that's going to give these drivers some time to think about it. And honestly, we're not even fully halfway done with the season yet. The Indianapolis 250 is our next race, and that is the halfway point. And that is going to be another one that I feel is going to be super, super competitive, as it's going to be a bit of a longer race for us too. Typically, we run 3rd length. The Indy 250 is a half-length race, and it's going to be a long one for these guys. It's going to come down quite a lot to who is going to have the stamina and who's going to have the superior strategy and fuel saving to be able to win that one. Because as we all know, the Indy 500 is often dependent on who can fuel save the best.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that is obviously going to be a very multi-stop race with a lot of strategy involved, potentially some fuel save, which is something we might not necessarily see in these shorter races, but with the half-length race, it is definitely going to come into play for these guys, and I know MLG God knows his way around Indianapolis pretty well, so I'll be excited to see that. But we welcome David Mccourt in here after another win for an interview. I mean, not much to say other than dominant again, man. Congrats on the win.
Yeah, thank you. It was a tough one. I'm not exactly sure how I ended up with that margin to the guys behind, other than they were fighting, but decided to go different on strategy, so it was kind of tough for me to gauge where I was for most of the race, but ended up having a good one. You know, just some minor mistakes in qualifying and on the first couple of laps, but other than that, went pretty smoothly, so happy with that performance.
Yeah, man. I mean, starting on the alternate tires was definitely a shock, at least for Keegan. I was looking to race tonight, and that was going to be my plan, but it looks like it gave you quite the jump off the bat in this race, which allowed you to build up that gap early on, take the heavy undercut, and try and make up some ground with some open track in front of you. How were those red tires throughout that first stint? It looked, I believe you pitted on lap 6, so they must have felt pretty slick.
Yeah, that's right. And I put a lot of practice coming into this race on exactly that, because I decided pretty early on that was going to be my strategy gamble. So, just practiced managing them for 6 laps and using all the grip that they have. And yeah, they were starting to go right as I was coming in, but that was pretty much exactly the point. And as you say, it enabled me to pull a bit of a gap during the first few laps, which exactly what I was hoping for. So I was pretty happy with how that strategy went.
I mean, it definitely worked out for you, and honestly, big win there too. Is you had that early lead, getting that pole. You had the ability to just jump out with clean air on those alternate tires and maximize that advantage. How much of the push to pass were you using over the course of the race?
It was really only in defense. Obviously, one element of my strategy was because I was out of sync pit stop wise. I did have to fight for some positions. Just to be able to maintain track position once other folks pitted. So, when I was in those battles, that's when I was using push to pass, or when folks were coming up behind me, I would tend to use it down a straight. And I think I had only 1 or 2 deploys left at the end of the race, so definitely needed them in order to keep track position.
Well, that is your second win of the season. You won 2 weeks ago at Road America, and you're actually, I think, the first repeat winner this season, so that's going to give you an even bigger lead in the point standings. How do you feel going into the Indy 250 here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's some good momentum. Obviously, we have a bit of a break before the Indy 250, and I've had sort of mixed fortunes there. So, the way I look at it is I have good momentum, hoping to take that to have some decent results. Try and hang on, stay with Andrew on the ovals, and hopefully keep being able to pull strong results on the road courses, and we'll see where we are at the end of the season.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming and joining us in the booth for your interview, and congratulations on your second win of the season. We will see you later, hopefully, in the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And folks, coming in here in a moment, we will have MLG God, our second place finisher tonight, and our second place in the points after this week. MLG God, big P2 on the podium. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So we saw that you were kind of on a bit of an off strategy. You had the alternate tires on at the end there, or wait, I believe it was at the end. Yeah. So how exactly did you approach strategy coming into this week? Because everybody seemed to be on different trains of thought with that.
Well, I planned my strategy before the week even started. I said I'm gonna go, primaries, alternate primaries, and whatever everyone else does. So when I saw David start on the alternates, I was like, okay, I can get him on strategy here. But ultimately, I spun coming out of the chicane on my first stint, and that kind of sealed the deal there.
Yeah, unfortunate there. So now we talked about it here a little bit with David. You're kind of one of the oval aliens here, and so far your stats this season have been kind of underwhelming on ovals. How do you intend to adjust going into the Indy 250?
I'm the defending winner of this race, and the bigger ovals are my forte. Last week I just had a bit of a unfortunate incident, but I'm looking to bounce back. This result here at Spa today was something that I needed just to damage limitation to David in terms of points. So just going to go into the Indy like I do every other oval race with a ton of confidence, and just hope to be there in the fight at the end.
Will, do you have any questions for MLG God? I believe we might have lost my co-commentator here. Either way, thank you very much, MLG God, for coming in with us. Big congrats on the podium. Good luck to you in the Indy 250 here in a couple weeks after the holiday break. And of course, happy holidays to you.
Yes, thank you, and happy holidays to you guys as well.
Thank you very much. And then we have one more interview tonight, folks, and that will be Joseph Dupont, who kind of got dealt a little bit of a bad hand tonight. Oh, no. Okay. So he actually has already taken off. Typical Joseph Dupont behavior. But from me to him, if you're watching the stream here, Joe, congratulations on your P3 tonight. Hopefully you can do well at Spa as well, as you are definitely in a very good competition for the lead in the points. But folks, I believe that's going to be all we have here for you tonight on Apollo Racing Club IndyCar Series. The battle for the championship heating up here as we have three people, David Mccourt, MLG God, and Joseph Dupont, who are all in the running to try and make a good run at it. So join us here in a couple weeks for the Indy 250 on Apollo Racing Club. And I believe we actually have my commentator back here. Hello, Will.
Hello, I'm back.
There we
Thank
go.
you. But
anything you want to say to the viewing public before we sign off for the night?
thank you guys for joining us and bearing with us some of our very bad dad jokes. May the grass be with you, and may you go full beans this holiday season. But I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And we'll catch you around the clock on the new year. Like you said, the Indy 250 is on January 6th, same time, same place. So we will see you then.